I'm sure that if you're interested in the gaming industry, you've seen that tweet about a hyper-realistic shooter called BodyCam. Yes, Elon, I'm not going to call it X. I have to admit that I was impressed the first time I saw it. I mean, it does look impressive, and the sound design is just perfect. It really makes you feel like you're in a shooting. However, once the initial hype wore off and the game was released as early access for $20, I got bored in less than 2 hours. But how is that possible? I genuinely thought it would be one of the best shooters of the year. Well, there's no actual content. It's just a small shooting game with few game modes, limited weapons, and horrible optimization. Don't get me wrong, it's very interesting as a concept and enjoyable for a few rounds, but if there are no more interesting options within the game, it's destined to die. They later added a zombies mode, which was much better, but the same thing happened. Once you've experienced the game, that's it. Now, what does any of this have to do with hyper-realism, you may ask? Well, all the hype generated for the game was due to the impressive graphical detail it has, and yeah, it does look amazing. But a good-looking demo is not enough for it to stand on its own. Now, every company, except the Nintendo, the special kids in the class, is trying to compete over who has the best graphics in games. This impacts developers' lives, who end up putting in lots of extra hours just for horseballs in Red Dead 2 to shrink in the snow. This is called crunch, a friendly and fancy way to describe labor precarity. But I will soon make a video about the crunch culture. Alright, let's establish some important points here. No, I do not hate when games try to be hyper-realistic, and I don't think this is a bad decision. However, there are some significant aspects that can be problematic when the industry focuses too much on them. The first and most important is the costs and hours involved, which comes along with crunch, and the second is the lack of personality and artistic expression. When a video game aims to be as realistic as possible, it involves recreating the real world, and that is boring. I'm playing video games to disconnect from that world, not to engage in a life simulator. Of course, when it's well done, the results are usually excellent. A good example is Red Dead 2, which looks astonishing and has a visual art style like none we have seen before, although it came at the expense of workers being exploited. So, when visuals and art direction are properly utilized, the end products tend to be good. However, when every single game uses Unreal Engine 5, it ends up being boring, visually bland, and generic. Have you seen those Minecraft videos featuring hyper-realistic mods? Why would you do that to a game that already looks good? It doesn't match the art direction and makes it feel generic and dull. I want games that have good art direction, not just hyper-realistic models with 10,000 polygons. Video games provide a way to escape reality for a bit and make us feel involved in the stories. Hyper-realism is not artistic. Let's view it this way. If an artist draws a perfect portrait with all the details, it is good work and a display of skills, but it lacks originality and interest. In contrast, if an artist takes a pencil and creates the same portrait but adds his vision of the world, it instantly becomes more interesting to look at. That's what art is, an expression of emotions and different ideas, not a copy-paste of what the eye can see. The same happens with video games. If every new game strives to showcase the best graphics, it's going to end up being absolutely boring. Not necessarily bad, but boring. That's why I love the indie market so much. Everyone has their own vision of the world and art style, which makes me more invested in the visuals rather than just seeing a marble floor with 500 real-time reflections. My point is, video games are pieces of art, and each one of them has its own vision and ideas. This is a key aspect of diversity, but when everything wants to look real, nothing will be unique. It will simply become a copy of the same world I want to avoid when I need to disconnect. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you soon, random internet brother.